Donald Trump is placing all his chess pieces to become the government. That's what I believe. It's a fire sale, basically. He is in the oil and gas industry. He's in the nuclear energy and water industry. He's in the banking industry. He controls all the trade and the military. Fire sale. Now, for those of you who follow me on YouTube or TikTok, you know that I've been saying for years that Trump is going to become the dictator and take over everything. So, few things have not happened. Go back and look through my videos. Told you all about the soybeans, told you about the major land grabs that was going on.
By taking the land, we're talking about a forced sale. So they're trying to force you guys to sell it.
Told you all about him becoming a dictator and putting militias out in the streets. And they still voted for him. So everything that I said has happened, and many other people, not because I'm Nostradamus or anything, but because history dictates. They all do it.
China has over 150,000 state-owned companies, an incredible number when compared against the handful most major economies possess, with 91 Chinese state firms being included in the world's top Fortune 500.
And the other thing that hasn't happened yet, unless you dive real deep and see some real funny behaviors, like that judge's house blowing up, right when Stephen Miller was saying, yeah, we need to get hardcore on the Democratic radical left. So, have you heard anything about that, by the way? Remember the judge that ruled against Trump?
The DOJ had apparently sought the information, including names, addresses, driver's license numbers, and social security numbers of over 3 million registered voters as part of President Donald Trump's March executive order restricting non-citizens from registering to vote. So in her ruling, Goodstein had stated that handing over this sort of data would cause immediate and irreparable damage by violating people's right to privacy. Even more recently, literally a day before this fire occurred, Stephen Miller, who is the deputy chief of staff, targeted federal judges in general who rule against Trump in a social media post. So he wrote the following: "The issue before is now before us. The issue before us now is very simple and clear. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in the country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorneys general. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks."
The whole damn house blew up. Anyway.
For many years, people who spoke against Vladimir Putin, like journalists, politicians, spies, and businessmen, have died in strange ways.
So, those two things have yet to happen. But what people, I believe, are not paying attention to is what has happened in order for him to solidify himself as a dictator. And by using the office of the presidency, Donald Trump is doing a fire sale, meaning he's becoming our infrastructure. Oil, gas, Qatar, Venezuela. Nuclear energy, yeah, his media company just bought into that. And then we have the banking, World Liberty Finance. So he's trying to take over the digital currency and make it go through his business. And that's what's going to happen with all these business, I believe, because it's happening already. Then you got the trade. Doesn't use Congress at all. They're pretty much obsolete at this point. And the final thing to keep it all together, the military. Not a backbone left in there, I believe. This is where we're at now. But I just want to break this down for you all so you can see it as plain as day. Here we go. Well, I posed the question to ask if Trump was in the oil and gas business, and we all know that everybody is paying him to do what he's doing, the billionaires. So it says that the Trump family does have significant indirect connections to the natural gas and broader fossil fuel industries, primarily through the political donations, high-level administration appointments, meaning people he hired to work in his cabinet, business partnerships, and real estate ventures that are heavily funded by oil and gas revenues. So if I give out all the contracts to everyone and I get kickbacks for that, and I can sanction you and put, somebody else in charge if you rub me the wrong way, or give somebody else the contract. That is what's happening. And using his sons, using the presidency, he is available to have all this gas field. He has already invested in Qatar. You know that $500 million worth of oil that was stolen from Venezuela is now sold. And part of the money is in the Treasury Department, trying to bump up those Treasury sales because nobody's buying our notes. And the other half, suspiciously, is in Qatar in an account offshore.
But as you can imagine, the idea of using an offshore account has raised some red flags. There is no basis in law for a president to set up an offshore account that he controls so that he can sell assets seized by the American military. That is precisely a move that a corrupt politician would be attracted to.
Now, you know that he is in Bitcoin. The data centers ventures, Eric Trump has commented on the family's Bitcoin investment ventures, and that they're trying to run these stable coins and make it through the government. See what I mean? So everything that goes down from now on this next coming year, I believe the contracts are going to go to these entities. And we're talking about oil, nuclear energy, banking, and trade.
Donald Trump has laid the groundwork to become one of the wealthiest people on the planet by personally making money from every dollar printed in the United States. And the worse the economy gets, the more money he stands to make.
Some way, shape, form, or fashion, Trump has got to get his. And it's what every dictator does. Nothing new. As President, Donald Trump has overseen several government-led initiatives and partnerships amid at bolstering the U.S. nuclear energy industry, which are distinct from his family's private investing. Are they? Yes, Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG, has significant dealings with an energy company, specifically by merging with TAE Technologies, a major nuclear fusion energy firm, in a deal valued at over $6 billion to create one of the first publicly traded fusion companies. Just the facts. Now, the Uline owners are part of the reason Trump is in presidency. They give him thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, up to millions. They have the Super PAC and the group supporting the March to Save America. All of that was funded by these billionaires. A lot of these billionaires are building their own cities, so they're trying to change the rights on the land. So you look at the people in California, what they're doing with the water down there.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system.
Two of the biggest players in the California water scene are Stuart and Linda Resnick. They're the billionaire owners of the Wonderful Company, known for their pistachios, mandarin oranges, and Palm Wonderful pomegranate juice.
Seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers
that own all that water and is taking land from the cities and stuff and making people only have 10-year leases for water now for a whole city. That was a plan. And it started way back when.
Investor Group is buying thousands of acres of farmland near Travis Air Force Base in Solano County. And California lawmakers are now proposing restrictions to protect that land. Since 2018, a group known as Flannery Associates has bought more than 50,000 acres of farmland near the Air Force Base. Some proposals being considered to protect the farmland include more disclosure of agricultural land purchases and prohibiting foreign ownership of farms.
Now, see, back almost 2 years ago in 2024, I told y'all this was happening. And the video that I put out probably got about 5,000 views, I think. And there was a trap right after COVID. And the trap was they raised everything up with the corn and the soybeans. So the farmers was making buku money. They said everything was butter on the Trump, even though it was COVID. It was only like that because the shipping was screwed up all over the world. And then when it came back to being normal prices, Bill Gates and everybody had already bought up billions of miles of land. And so they raised the land prices because the farmers were making more. Now that it went back to normal back in 2024 and 2025, the farmers struggled. So what did Trump do to help these billionaires grab their land? He put tariffs on the soybean.
Do the frickin' research. J.D. Vance owns a large share of a company called Acre Trader. Same with Peter Thiel, the man that's behind all of this monitoring data center crap to watch you and to watch me. And guess what? The Walton family, one of the richest families in the country. Guess what? They own Acre Trader. You know what Acre Trader does, folks? Acre Trader goes in and buys farmland that can't pay their taxes. And guess what they do? They hire people to go in and work it it's for profit, and then all of their investors make money off stealing farmland. It only gets better. Guess what? They specialize in taking corn and soybean farms. Huh.
Now, when I first seen this 2 days ago, it made me a little angry because I'm like, the guy's got a pretty good following and stuff. But I told y'all this back in 2024. It's not what we can do, it's who's going to stop us. The president, LOL, 2024.
Billionaires are buying up farmland all across America, including Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Ted Turner. More and more of these farms are now being controlled by billionaires who are buying this land as an investment, everyone. These crops are now almost back to their pre-pandemic pricing, meaning that the farmers farming the land are not making nearly as much money as they were 2 years ago, which means they're not going to be able to pay as high a rent to the owners of the land.
Not enough money in the state of Texas to get me water that I have lost.
When they talk about my water, they're talking about their commodity. It's immoral. What's going on?
This is the front lines of America's new water wars.
Now, I told y'all about this, I don't know, around the same time I made the other video, because there was the X, plants going up, right? And the Tesla plants, and he was taking all the water and he was screwing over the people, getting 5 times as much land as he needed to, get a reservoir for his businesses. And all of that came from the land that the farmers use or the ranchers use.
So is it really about water, or is this about money? Indeed. By taking the land, we're talking about a forced sale. So they're trying to force you guys to sell it.
Force us to sell to them.
The groundwater project could pull billions of gallons of water from East Texas.
They can take all of your water, all of your neighbor's water, and all your granddaddy's water.
One hedge fund manager claims that he can deliver billions of gallons of water to Texas cities that are running out. But he's made a fortune off a crisis before.
This is crazy. This gentleman is a true robber and ain't got no conscience.
We're talking to Kyle Bass. He made $500 million shorting the subprime market.
And we made hundreds of millions of dollars in a day. And I sat down with my team and I said, this is it.
Kyle Bass's plan is part of a broader Wall Street trend of buying up water rights as water becomes a more valuable commodity.
This is Texas.
I want you to pay attention to More Perfect Union. That's where you can go find these stories at. Real news.
John McCall's ranch is right next to Kyle Bass's property, where massive pumps could drain billions of gallons of water.
I've lived here all my life. My ranch has been in the family for 100 years.
What do you think of Kyle Bass as a neighbor?
He didn't apply for the Doctrine of Good Neighbor Award because I would have thought I would have got a phone call. We'll take 15 billion gallons away from that resource, and it's going to be just fine.
And in the future, I see a contract coming. Just saying.
Per year, every year. It's not going to work.
Kyle Bass, founder of Heyman Capital Management, has been associated with the Trump administration, notably through his friendship with Tommy Hicks Jr., a private investor linked to Donald Trump Jr. and J.D. Vance. Now, I just showed you everything that Donald Trump's businesses are coordinating to be our infrastructure for everything that we need, light, gas, nuclear, banking, and trade. So that's going full-fledged dictator when the government owns everything. So in light of what history has taught us, I see the moves being made. I hope you will help me put that out there. But in order to get this off, he needs the military. That's the fifth element.
As Landers reports, the administration has rolled out a campaign across departments that draws on images and ideas borrowed from right-wing and white nationalist circles.
From the U.S. Department of Labor, a message. One homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember.
Now that is a trope that is used by QAnon, but it's also used by the Proud Boys, and it has also been linked back to Hitler.
Remember who you are, American. It's a video that appears to be part of a campaign now ramping up to sell the administration's efforts to the American people.
This is the White House page.
For example, calling on potential ICE recruits to, quote, defend the homeland from outsiders while featuring heroic images of white men, often from a bygone era. Then there's this tweet from Friday, an ICE recruitment ad featuring the turn of phrase, "We'll have our home again," plastered over an image of a man on horseback and a stealth bomber flying in the distance.
Now, we don't even want to talk about everything that he snatched out of the Kennedy Center as far as anything to do with any other nationality but Caucasians. So all of the J6 is gone. All of the slavery history is gone. Whitewashing. Whitewashing. Everything.
That's a reference to the song "We'll Have Our Home Again," a white supremacist anthem favored by the Proud Boys.
Oh my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home.
And I remind you of the Third Reich. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And they all work for ICE now, which I also told you about 3 years ago, because I seen the numbers falling on the memberships with Oath Keepers, for the Proud Boys, for the Patriots. All of them's numbers fell off when the big, beautiful bill passed. Just facts.
Another image tells supporters to, quote, trust the plan, the slogan of the right-wing conspiracy theory known as QAnon, which posits there's a global cabal of pedophiles and deep state actors trafficking children, and that Trump is fighting it.
This makes perfect sense.
Man, once again, this was just brought out yesterday. He made this video and was just oblivious to the fact that all the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers are working for ICE. I mean, how can you ain't seen nobody marching? You know what I mean? And by the way, the Patriot Front, they're the new recruitment for the people. Okay? Used to be Charlie Kirk. Patriot Front is now the new recruiters for the young people. And they have 2 cities all white cities, and they're working on a third. I shouldn't say cities. Actually, they're communities. So it's going to be 3 communities that are going to be recruiting for ICE because that's what they do. You see ICE jumping out of U-Haul trucks? It's because this is a Patriot Front, boys.
This Proud Boys maniac, Enrique Tarrio, whatever, he's in ICE. As for ICE, just yesterday, I saw someone online say, we haven't seen much of the Proud Boys lately. Maybe they're in ICE. I thought they were joking. I no longer think they were joking.
You got to be under a rock, seriously, to not know that. So hopefully y'all will understand everything that is happening, and you'll see this fire sale for him to become our new dictator, following the footsteps and game plans of other dictators. I don't know if the Supreme Court is going to be of any real value. They're doing some things. Local Supreme Courts are doing some things. But what happens when he starts arresting judges? What happens? Everything needs to have quick, fast, and a hurry before he gets more power. He's not going to leave office. What makes you think he would leave office with all these things in place within the next 3 years? He'll be controlling the oil, the gas, the nuclear energy, the banking, and the trade, and he'll have all the military in every city by that time. Not just Minnesota. Not for immigrants, for us.